Started Memtes. The goal is to do most of Memtes today. And then, so therefore, when we lose tomorrow, then Wednesday will be all caught up once again.
Yes, okay, well,
So we got towards the bottom. We were talking about a case of forced sale. A guy strong arms, better sell this to me. So is that sale a good sale or not? Some say yes. So he took the money, so it's a good sale. Others say no, he was doing it under duress. So we left off.
No, if it was specific or not specific.
I think 2 lines from the bottom, yeah? Is that what we got to? Yeah. All right, 2 lines from the bottom. So we'll get to specific right now. We'll get that. And Amar Rava, 2 lines from the bottom, and Memches Amar Aleph. And the way we go, Amar Rava Hilchasa, tell you the Zavin Zvine. The halach is the guy hangs him upside down, he forces them, strong arms him, and he says, "Sell this to me, take this money, give me the object, give me the land." It works. That it works. Ella is stam. If he sells, sell me a field, and then here is the money. And strong arms them. The guy sells him a field. So since he sells him a field, so obviously the seller is choosing which field. So the seller is choosing which field. There's a little bit of ratzon in there. Take this one, even though maybe ultimately he didn't want to sell a field, but he chose this one, so that shows a little bit of ratzon. But let's say the guy, the mafioso, says, "I'm buying this field. I want the corner property, and you sell it to me right now." Then it's not a good sale. And not only that, it was sadazu nami. Even if he says, "I insist on you selling me this corner field that we said normally doesn't work," Nami lo amran ela delay artsi zuze. The guy doesn't go ahead and count the money. But if the guy goes ahead and here's your money, give me the corner field, and he starts counting his money, so now it seems that he's pretty pleased with the transaction by the fact he's counting the money, that he cares about the money, and therefore the sale is valid. And furthermore, also, he had no way around it to avoid it. But if he could have bought time and says, "Hey, I got to go with my wife, and this and that," and by the time he could have done that, maybe he could have prevented selling it, then low. So if he couldn't have prevented it, he doesn't count the money, and he was forced to sell this specific land, then we say the sale was null and void. Otherwise, if any of those issues are present, then it would be a valid sale. The hilchasa, once again, the hilchasa v'kula dahavi zvine. But nevertheless, the halacha that it is a good sale. V'afilu b'sad the zoo, even if the guy says this specific field. Why? What is it similar to? Da'isha kasad the zoo damya. A woman, a guy who's forcing a woman to go ahead and marry him, is like a specific field, right? This specific field, and I'm forcing you, of all women, to go ahead and marry me. Right? The Amar Ameimar. So what do you mean? What's the case of the woman? So Tluya the Kaddish, the guy goes ahead and he forces a woman, you better go ahead and marry me. Kedusha of Kedushin. It does work. He gives her Kesef Kedushin, she accepts it, even if she doesn't want to, but he forces her to accept it, so she takes it. The Kedushin does work. Tamar Baravashi Amar Beisha. No. When it comes to a woman, Vadai Kedushin Lehavi. We don't say that works by a woman. You can't force a woman to go ahead and marry her. Why? He's doing something that is not appropriate. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and make for him appropriate. He's going ahead and forcing her to go ahead and marry him. So therefore, that's not appropriate. So therefore, we're also going to go ahead and act not deceitful, but we're also going to ask, not so straight. I will say, you know what? That which you were trying to go ahead and be Makadish the woman, we'll say it doesn't work. And the Rabbanan will uproot it. So let's say he gave her a ring, take this ring and you'll be, because remember, he has to give her something Shava Pruta. So take this ring, and now you're my wife. I don't want to. Take it. So she takes it. It was worth more than a Pruta. Married. So the Rabbanan come in and say, you know what? We can go ahead and say that ring was worthless. And now he never gave her Kesef Kedushin, and therefore she's not married. So you want to play dirty, Mr. Husband? Chazal can also play dirty. We'll say the Rabbanan will uproot the Kedushin like it was never done. So Amarle, Ravina Ravashi.
I thought you forced her to take the ring.
They forced her to take a ring. So originally we thought you forced her to take a ring. She's married.
Right.
And it works. But however, it says Mabravashi, even by a woman, if you force her to take her the ring, right, and she takes it, she's not married. Because he's playing dirty. Chazal say we can play dirty. We'll uproot the marriage and say the kesef you gave her was hefker.
Oh,
Because Basin has power, right? So Basin has the power over people's money. They can be mafkir people's possessions, and therefore they made his ring ownerless and worthless. Similarly, Rabbi Ravashi, and it asks us many times, the Kaddish Bekaspa. Nothing. Right? So Tina de Kaddish Bekaspa. Okay, this works when it comes with money. We can go ahead and say it's hefker, based on hefker best, hefker based on hefker. However, Kaddish would be a ma'iklim. But when he said he had relations, Kaddish would be a, so there's nothing to make hefker. He's Kaddish with relations, ma'iklim. So we're going to say that the ve'ila was not done l'shem kedushin, rather was done for znus, and therefore the kedushin is not chal. Fine. Period. Smack in the middle of the page of Mem Chesem Beis. So Tavi Tola Lepapai Akinura Vizav. So Tavi, he forced, that was his guy's name, he hung a Papi to go ahead and sell him this certain orchard, the Ichnora, either he hung him for the tree or he wanted him to sell him the tree, and forced him to sell this plot of land. So Chasim Rabba Baraf Hana Amoda, and also Vashkalosa. So Rabba Barachana was present, and he signed a moda. A moda, as we saw earlier, is basically someone is involved in a transaction. He's getting forced. He's going to tell the two people, hey, by the way, this guy's about to force me to sell him something. I do not want to go ahead and do it. Here's my statement. You guys are my witnesses that I don't want to do it. He's making me do it. So Rabba Barachana was one of those who signed on this modia that he informed them that he was being coerced to go ahead and sell him this tree. And also, the guy who was forcing him to sell the tree, hey, we need witnesses for the sale to make sure that it stands for good. Hey, you, Rab Barachana, get over here and sign this sale document.
But not specific. Not specific.
No, specific, what do you mean? He sold.
No, he brought Edin, but he didn't say, this is the tree I want you to sell.
No, he sold it. This one. This land. This specifically. I want this tree, sell it to me. You guys are witnesses. So Rabbi Khan actually signed on two things. He signed on the sale document, and he also signed on the secret coercion document that the seller was being coerced to do it. So he was playing both sides.
Yeah.
On one hand, he said, oh yeah, it's a sale, good sale. On the other hand, I know you're being forced on the site. So let's see what's going on here. So Amar Rav Huna, the one who went ahead and signed on the coercion document, basically in the coercion document will now say that the sale is no good. He signed appropriately, right? He was told, and a person's under duress, he's allowed to go ahead and do it, and you write it down. And when he signed also on the sale document, also Shapir Chasam, it was also good he signed on it. So the Gemara says, I understand, Manav Shach, right? Right? If he signed in the sale document, he shouldn't sign in the coercion document. If you sign in the coercion document, he shouldn't sign in the sale document. You can't say it's both. You can't say it's a good sale and it's not a good sale. So which one is it?
He knows all the steps and he's gonna tree.
So to help him out to leave. So very good. So let's see. Okay, Kamar. So Ila Modia. So it says no. If it wasn't for the fact that he signed the coercion document, which basically says that even though I signed on the sale document, that sale is no good. If I didn't sign on the coercion document, then the one who signed on the sale document would have been fine. Right? You're allowed to go ahead and sign on the sales document, and you can sign also on the other ones. But in other words, it's telling you that the modia, that the coercion document basically overrides the sale document. In other words, that therefore it wouldn't be a sale. And Rav Huna the Tami, Rav Huna goes to Shitas Dama Rav Huna. So I'll tell you of Zavin Zvine. Right? If a person goes ahead and forces someone to go ahead and sell something, says Zvine, that is a good sale. Right? So in other words, that really, even a person's being coerced, it's a good sale.
Right?
Gemara says Eini. V'amar Rav Nachman Eidim Shamru Amana Hayud Vareinu Ein Ein Eman. Right? What do you mean? If people say now, let's say when it says Yigal is going to go ahead and he wants to give a loan to Mayor. So he wants to give a loan to Mayor. He wants to have the documents ready. So Yigal basically tells me and Eddie, "Hey, I'm about to lend Mayor $1,000. Okay, Mayor trusts Yigal that he's not going to go ahead and try to collect with the loan documents before the money's actually lent. And he's telling Eddie and I, look, Mayor and I are going away. We're going on Mayor's boat for a 3-hour tour. And there's not going to be other witnesses there. I'm going to give the loan there. So maybe pre-sign it for us. And then I'll give the note. So he tells Eddie and I sign the loan document. Yigal gave $1,000 to Mayor. Okay. And then later on, I said,
I don't want to.
even though my name is signed on it that says Yigal loaned Mayor $1,000, and so is Eddie's, but we say, you know what? We signed the loan document, but it wasn't given yet. It was a share. It was like a share of trust. Mayor trusted Yigal. We trusted Yigal that he wouldn't go ahead and present it unless he actually went there and lent the money.
Like a line of credit document?
No.
Right? It was a regular loan.
Transaction.
We pre-signed it. He's going to have the case.
Actually,
We did it before he actually gave the money, right? We did it on trust. So if it is Abraham Nachman, Eidim Shamru Amana Hayud, so our loan document is presented, mine and Eddie's names on it. We say, oh yeah, but we signed it before the loan was taking place. We were going out of town. He didn't have other witnesses, so we signed it a couple of days before the loan. So could be the loan never took place. We're just telling you that. So witnesses that say that, Ein Nemanim, they're not believed. If I sign the loan document, it must be that the loan took place. However, my dear and furthermore, the guy says, yes, I saw the sale, but they were coerced.
So he's not.
They are not believed.
Right.
So you see, it's not believed. So how could this override the coercion documents? How could that work? So the Gemara says, "Hani mili al peh." That's only al peh, right? Top of Mem Testament. I want to get Mem Testament because this is tomorrow's Daf and Tisha B'Av. So it says this is only referring to loans. In other words, if I signed on a document and then I come back later on, it says Sharamana, and then once I testify that there was a loan, i.e., I signed on the document, I can't come back 3 days later, I'll pay and say it did not occur. But if it was indeed a document, so therefore, however, a star, let's say a star modia, right, a coercion document, could go ahead and fight against the actual sale document. So therefore, yes, if it's Alpec can't come back and uproot the star. But if it was a star, right, such as that there was a coercion that the seller notified us before he was selling that he was under duress, and that's why he sold it. So such a star would take place and be able to override the sale. So Gufa, 4 lines from the top of Men Testament Aleph. So Amarav Nachman, if they say, okay, we signed, yes, we did indeed sign this loan document, but it was a loan document of trust. In other words, that the guy didn't lend out the money yet, he was going to go ahead and use in the future. So if they say, they're not believed. And if they say, hey, that the guy was coerced, even though we signed on the loan document, the guy was coerced, they're not believed. If they say that we pre-wrote on a loan document, they're not believed. However, if they say that we did sign it, but we were, the seller was under duress, then they are believed. Why is the difference? My timer. One is allowed to be written. In other words, a sale document is allowed to be written. In other words, the guy's getting beat until he sells the land. So therefore, I'm allowed to go ahead and sign on the document, the sale document. Fine. He sold you the land. And later on, we'll testify that it was done under duress. However, in the case of a loan document is never allowed to go ahead and be pre-written. Why? Because you can take assets that the guy had that maybe Mayor had assets before, but he got rid of them first, and you can take it from first. So therefore, a loan document is never allowed to go ahead and be pre-written. And therefore, since that wasn't allowed to be pre-written, we don't believe a person would be a Russia Russia. I can't make myself a Russia by saying I signed it early. But when it comes to a modia, where I was allowed to go ahead and sign on behalf of the seller so he won't have his arm broken, so therefore, that's the reason why we believe that case. Fine, 2 dots. And then we say, Velo ish, chazak b'nichse isha. So a husband is eating, let's say, for the nichse maluk of his wife, and he's eating there, he can't say, oh, she sold it to me, it's mine. So Gemara says, Pshit, that's obvious. Came on these the Paris, since he has a right to the fruits, Peru the reason why he's been eating and consuming the fruits is because he has the rights to the Peros, but not necessarily that he bought the land off of her. So Gemara says, Leitzricha, the cost of law didn't varm a leave in where he says, you know what? I don't want your assets. You can keep your assets. Baruch Hashem, I make a fine living, right? I give a Daf Yomi share, support it very well, and therefore I don't need your money because I didn't drive. So Gemara says, "Because of law, my hobby." I understand. So therefore, in this case, and by the way, and in other words, right? So in other words, he was, let's say, because of my hobby, or so in the case, in other words, he says, I have nothing to do with it. So that which he's eating from it, right? Maybe it's a case of where, since he still has to support her, so he takes fruits and stuff, and he doesn't have a right to it, but he takes fruits. But normally we see that a person says that he's a partner in something. He says, I want nothing to do this anymore. He hasn't said anything. And so Amila Dvei Rabbi Yanai, Masnisin, what are we talking about? Case because of law. So first of all, if you go ahead and make a kidding on it, he writes it down. Arusa, and it's before while she's in Arusa. In other words, if he writes her a shtar, because I'm not going to have anything from your land, and he does it while she's in Arusa, while they're betrothed, before they are married, so then he could remove himself from the land, and therefore he really technically doesn't have a right, and therefore you might think that if he's at it for 3 years, he can create a chazakah. Kamash Malan, that the wife is, hey, since you're paying for my meals every day, I'm going to pay this too. You want to eat from my field. I'm not going to say boo. And therefore, that's the reason why she never said, hey, what are you doing on my field? And since she wouldn't say, what are you doing on my field? You cannot go ahead and create a chazakah. Could Rav Kahana, like Rav Kahana, dumb Rav Kahana. So nachla habala li'adin makam acher. So let's say a person has an inheritance coming from something that another place. In other words, he didn't have it yet. So a person can go ahead and make a condition. I do not want to go ahead, even though the Torah gives me the rights to go ahead and inherit it. I don't want, or Chazal say I inherit it. I don't want to go ahead and inherit it. He's allowed to. Whoever says he does not wish to for the tekanas chachamim, which is made for his benefit, I do not want to go ahead and benefit the tekanas chachamim to go. And so it's like this case. Timing low. And then we listen to him. So my could go in Zos. What's the case? It could go in Zos. Could Rav Huna Marav, like Rav Huna Marav, Rav Huna Marav. Yechol Isha Shetaymer Labalo. A woman can go ahead and say to her husband, Eini Nizainas, Ve'eni Isa. In other words, she says, you know what? I don't need you to feed me, and therefore you don't get my paychecks. And therefore a woman is allowed to do it. So over here, the husband is allowed to go ahead and do that. And therefore, the chiddush is that even though the husband does not technically have the rights, because he was able to basically say, I do not want this takana, nevertheless, his wife is, he was eating from it. The wife was just doing it, allowing him to eat from it to be nice, but not the fact that she sold it, and therefore he would not be able to go ahead and make a chazaka. All right, we'll stop over here.
The last line above.
That I'll tell you on the way to the car. Back. So tomorrow you got your leg is on. Tomorrow we're off. Tishua no shir tomorrow, but Wednesday, Mr. Hashem, we will go ahead and continue from here unless Mashiach comes.